on our platform as well. Thank you ever so much for the opportunity, sir, for having allowed us as SALGC to come through and to engage this afternoon with our fellow brothers and the community as such. I think it is of importance that you gave us this opportunity to allow us to at least have something in common by the time we leave this plenary. Let me then also welcome those that have already joined, and thank you for allowing us to be of importance to you, that you join us this afternoon, that we can have a chat, we can have an engagement. In the main, let me indicate who we are. This organization called SALGC, South African Leadership Gentlemen's Club, it's an organization which is an NPO, national NPO, that is formulated out of wanting to really work towards empowering men. It's an NPO that is keen on wanting to develop or increase the leadership in us, to awaken the leadership in us. This organization is driven by 5 pillars, which are the vanguards of our vision, our mission. The 5 pillars, briefly, they are talking. The first pillar talks to mental liberation, which is exactly what we are doing now, where we've got these kind of talks, and we are able to share amongst ourselves. The second pillar talks to self-respect and respect of others. It also talks of the protection of those that are vulnerable, that we must do our utmost as a gentleman, as men, as a boy child, to enhance and have that as something that must be driven forward. The third pillar talks to the utilization of resources. We may be talking land, we may be also talking about your salary, your income, your money that you would have managed to bank or managed to work for. We are saying we need to be very prudent in how we use our resources and be vigilant in terms of how we make them be beneficiary to us. The fourth pillar talks to the increasing of the local economy through those resources, such that we support our own, we support the economy where we are sitting, where we are staying, and that we allow growth from those that we work with as partners that we support in their business space. And then the fifth and the last pillar talks to really engaging and getting the youth of our country out there to be part of this development of the country, and also to adopt to all the kind of technological space that we are finding ourselves in. There was an acronym that was since been used of late, the 4IR. We are saying we need everybody to be in that space. But for us to arrive at that space, we really need to be together. We really need to work as a unit. Let me then again then indicate that SALGC is indeed working across the country. We are not only a Gauteng-based type organization. We envisage to want to be throughout the country. We do have members in the Eastern Cape. We do have members in Bloemfontein. We do have members in the Northwest. We do have members in Limpopo, Venda. And that is the kind of thing that we are saying. And we are saying, once you become SALGC, you are SALGC wherever you are. And then it is on you to plant the seed that you also have gotten from SALGC, such that all of us as men are then able to can change and are in the space where we then move harmoniously in our communities, in the space that we live in. Let me then take the opportunity and introduce our speaker today. Our speaker today is Ntate Nhlanhla Matona. Ntate Nhlanhla Matona, he's a motivational speaker. He's a very powerful man who's keen on wanting to also make change in the life of others. He's a father, a husband, a man that respects himself, a man that respects others. He's also a member and a leader of the group called the Upper Room. And he's heading that organization in that space. Ntate Matona, thank you ever so much for also allowing us to come here. Like I said, we really appreciate your time, sir. We really appreciate the effort that you would have made in sitting down and thinking and taking time to tabulate at least take notice of the lack in some of the things that we as men and we as a boy child and those that we live among in the community can take from this conversation that we are going to have. The topic for today, ladies and gentlemen, is called Living a Disciplined Life. It is indeed refreshing. As always, we like this kind of engagement as SALGC. I will therefore allow you, Ntate Matona, to come into the space and take over, sir.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Allow me to greet all the viewers in our respective places where we are. And it is indeed a blessing for me to be here. So I thank you so much for tuning in. Firstly, I wish to thank the leadership of SALGC for affording me this opportunity today to come and present to you this topic, and also to thank the leadership of SALGC for trusting me that I can be the candidate today to present this topic. This is one topic that when it is presented, because of its sensitivity, most people, they become defensive instead of being receptive. So I believe that we will listen and decide, actually. This presentation today, it sits at the time in the month of August. So we know that this is the month that is dedicated to women. And just in 2 days from today, it will be the 9th of August, and that is the Women's Day. So, Chairperson, allow me to say Happy Women's Day to all the women out there in advance. And we need to say now and then that we appreciate them and we love them. And it is even God who said, a man, it is not good for a man to be alone. And he further said that he's going to make a helper for a man. So I normally refer to that as a companion, the right person for a man. So we are not there, but we are just showing our appreciation and respect to them, that God saw that it is good for a man to have one. So we cannot continue, Chairperson, without passing through this thing that is now a pandemic. Since we are in the Women's Month, the violence against women and children, and we'll also add men, because even men, they experience the same. So we do not condone any type of violence, be at homes, in our communities, at work, even at church. So, but maybe one day we'll talk about that. Even at church, people, they get abused in one way or another. So the topic for today is living a disciplined life. I need to make a short disclaimer, Chairperson, that I'm not an expert in this topic, but with the grace of God, I will deliver what God has trusted me with. Before I start, Chairperson, allow me just 1 minute to be a bit selfish and say these two things. Before that, I've just checked now. I think these are bad news that at 5 o'clock, I'm going to have a load shedding where I am. So that could interrupt the network, I believe, but I try by all means to be as short as I can so that you will have that time for engagement. Should at 5 I experience the network problem, but that will never make me to make the presentation be of less quality. So this 1 minute of being selfish, Chairperson, I want to talk about at least 4 things that I love the most about me. Just 1 minute. They will help me as I do my presentation. One is that I am a father, and I took a decision of being a responsible father. And secondly, I am a husband to my wife. Then I took a decision, an informed one, that I'm going to be a good husband to my wife. And my role will be to ensure her that she is always happy. And 3, I am a member of the upper room men, as my chairperson has alluded. So what we do there, we support, we develop, and we inspire men to be Christ-centered, to be responsible and accountable men. That is all that we are aiming to achieve. And the last one, chairperson, is that I'm the child of God. And this is where I draw my strength. Actually, this is my source of everything. My source of strength, my source of ability, my source of capacity, my source of wisdom. The list is endless. So you'll understand as I'll be going on with my presentation why I had to mention these things, Chairperson. Now, let us go to the topic, living a disciplined life. In these 30 minutes, Chairperson, I have so much to say. I have so much to say, but I will try to make it as short as possible to cover this time. Yeah. Those who got an opportunity to see the poster that was inviting us to this presentation, they should have noticed that there were things that were written there to say we wanted to promote the intentional self-discipline. That's what we want to achieve through this presentation, among other things, and the respect of others as we wish to be respected. And lastly, to encourage one another to revert to a common sense. We said back to basics. Yeah. We as Africans, we have this thing called Ubuntu. We say in Zulu, umuntu, umuntu ngabantu, meaning you can't be operating in your own space without other people that you need. So we need other people. So that is what we want to achieve. If I had time, Chairperson, I was going to also touch on the pillars. I think the pillars of SALGC are very strong. And the mental liberation and the self-respect and the respect of others. Yeah. So the purpose of this workshop or presentation is not mainly to teach about discipline, because I believe that most of us, if not all of us, we know what discipline is, but we want to teach about the consequences, or to remind one another about the consequences of being ill-disciplined, and also to encourage one another to be disciplined in all areas of our lives and at all times. So if one will be describing what discipline is, we have different scholars who will give you different definitions, but I've taken just few that I will want to base this presentation to. I said discipline is the quality of being able to behave and work in a controlled way, which involves obeying particular rules or standards. Meaning, for you to be disciplined, there must be standards that must be controlling you and that you have to obey. And that must be an informed decision. It's a decision that one must take, that these are the standards, and I don't just put them, but I will follow them. Then I said further, it is a sort of self-control reflected in public action. So we see that you are disciplined not when you are alone in your own space, but when you are with us in the public. The way you do things says a lot about your character, your conduct, and your discipline. So, and it is not forced upon the individual, but it is instilled over time. What does that mean? It means us as parents, we have a responsibility to start as early as possible to instill discipline to our children, because most of us, we are who we are because of how we were raised. Some may be blamed, but over time they have been taught otherwise and they became what they are today. So it is something that is instilled in a person, and not just once. You can't just teach and people just change, but over time people they become. So it is also a good deed you do even if there is no one who is seeing you. So it is something that you do not for the sake of people that they will see and praise you, but it is something that you do even if you are not in public. So it becomes a lifestyle and it flows out from within. Remember that I said it's something that get instilled to a person. So once it is instilled to you, it flows out within you. So it ends up being not a struggle to be disciplined. And lastly, it is to stick to your plan and to your informed decisions. You'll remember that it's very common that many of us towards this month called December, towards the end, we started to reflect on what we did in that particular year. And we say, now we are going to change. And we are going to put the new plan that we call the New Year's resolution. And believe me, usually it's a very beautiful plan. And tell me if we do implement. Some of us right now, I don't even know what were their New Year's resolution.
Yes.
So that is part of being ill-disciplined, if I may say so. So I say it is sticking to your plan. So one must have a plan that will be regulated or controlled by the particular standards. And as the one is sticking to that plan, then that person can be regarded as a disciplined person. So I said, I won't talk about discipline, but I want to look at what happens if one is not disciplined. What are the fruits of being ill-disciplined? One is corruption. The way we raise our kids, in most cases, they even harness who we are without us teaching them. If from the corners where we are operating, we are corrupt, and chances are in a spiritual realm, our children will harness that. I have seen a situation whereby one has never met their parents, but at a particular time, they get a chance to meet them, and you get surprised that these people have never met, but the way they do things alike. And at times, even the way they talk, the way they think, the way they walk. So we have this thing that we get from our parents. So if we are good parents, then we stand a good chance that our children will harness that. So the way we do things has a very huge impact in our generation to come. So I also want to talk about very simple things that we do on daily basis that says a lot about our conduct or discipline or being disciplined. The issue of late coming, I'm sorry, Chairperson.
Yes.
It happened that I put it here. The issue of late coming.
Yeah.
I'm one person who believes in a value of money. And most of us, it's not that we love money, but we need money. But you cannot separate money with time. So those who understand the value of time understand well the value of money. So this thing of like late coming, it has become a tendency that people will say at work, I can't, I arrive early because of the transport, because it is too early, 7 o'clock, and you will see them at church. The time for church will be 10, 9, 11, and they will still be late. That means even if you can say they have to come to work at 4, they will still be late. It's not that hard. It's the issue of being ill-disciplined. They don't see the need. They've never sat down and understand the importance of doing things in time. And the issue of procrastination again falls there. Chairperson, I can tell you that if I was not procrastinating things in life, I could have been a better person by today. So most of us will attest that procrastination, as they say, that it is a thief of time. I normally go beyond that to say it is the mother of poverty. Some of us could have finished our grade 12 or whatever qualification in tertiary, but we kept on procrastinating to study, and we ended up failing. And we wanted to get the reason why we failed. It's because we were not disciplined. We couldn't able to do things in the order of priority. And this is another thing that comes from being ill-disciplined that we need to also look at. The issue of cheating. Cheating in all spheres of life. It is because of being ill-disciplined. Normal people, when they teach, they don't just like teach, cheat rather, but they plan that. You first start by thinking about it, then you decide to do it. So, and most of us, we are where we are. There are people who even lost their jobs because of cheating, and they were found that they are not productive enough, and they were asked a very simple question: why must we keep you? And they could not answer that question, and they had to let them go. So the issue of laziness. Normal people, they think laziness is a syndrome. I believe that it is a decision. You decide to be lazy, and the opposite is true. So all these things, they lead to poverty, and they lead to unemployment, and they lead to our economy not growing as it's supposed to grow, and they lead to failure. And one more thing that I want to talk about again is the issue of drug abuse. That again, it is a matter of people being ill-disciplined. You have seen, Chairperson.
Yes.
I believe most of our families, we have this uncle. This uncle that we know, even if we have like serious meetings, we don't even see whether he's here or not, because we know he won't add value. Not because he is bewitched, but because of the decisions that he took sober-mindedly so to abuse drugs. And today, he's of no use as we rate him within the families. I'm sorry to put it like that way, but that is the
Yes.
matter of fact. So there is no one who will sit down and say, I want to be of no use. But if you are ill-disciplined, you end up there. And all of them, they don't say this coming, just like not eating properly. You wake up one day, you have this big tummy. You don't know what happened to you. And you build this thing over time. So we said that discipline is instilled over time. And if you do the opposite over time, the consequences and they will be visible again over time. And it's very difficult in most cases to reverse such. Another thing that falls under being ill-disciplined is the issue of mediocrity, whereby we appreciate to do the least and you don't want to push to do the best. I believe that we have the capacity to do the best. And if we can be that nation that always strive to do the best, I believe there is so much as a nation that we can achieve. In particular, I'm so much disturbed, Chairperson, about this issue of unemployment. There are so many factors that are contributing to that, but some of the factors are the ones that I have mentioned, including the issue of mediocrity. We are in the company, we are expected to produce so much units. Those who are doing economics will understand that the more we produce the product, is the more we are increasing the economy. I'm not the economics person, but I've heard that. So it increases the gross domestic product. And I can go on and go on, but let me just mention this last two, Chairperson. Living a life you don't desire to live. Hence, you have so much regrets. The life that you are living is not the life that you wish you can live. But all that you are doing, it makes you feel good. But you know of the outcome that they will destroy you. And also to neglect and to dodge your responsibilities. That is being ill-disciplined. Some people will neglect and dodge their responsibilities with good reasons. But those reasons are not good enough, I believe. Maybe there are some that I don't know. But as far as I know, we have to ensure that all that is our responsibilities, we become responsible, and we can't neglect such. Can we just look at the causes of being ill-disciplined, Chairperson?
Yes.
One thing that I have noticed is the environment and the upbringing. I believe that the environment in this case, I will refer to the place where one has been brought in or brought up, the people, this can be the parents in particular that have raised the person, and even the other associates. It can be friends and the neighboring people. So they have a huge impact in your becoming. So hence we have a responsibility as this generation to ensure that we make the environment be very much conducive. I get disturbed. Maybe today I got this chance to say this on record, Chairperson, that I don't know where you are residing, but where I am residing, I always get frustrated at night. I will be outside, whereby you will see the kids of 8 years, literally so, roaming around the streets. At times, I once stopped a few to say, why are you outside at this time? And they say, my mom sent me to shop to buy a bread or snake and all those things. To that extent, a young girl of 8 years or a boy around 8 p.m. is very normal. And we expect these kids to grow and be disciplined. And we are the one that are instilling this to our children. So we have this role as parents and as the community members to ensure that we make the environment where we are to be very much conducive for all people that are living there, so that it is conducive for them to be disciplined. And another thing that is contributing to this through our decisions are the bad associates, people that we are spending time with. It's either you join them, as they say, or they will beat you.
Yeah.
So unlike parents, but friends, you choose them. Normally, you don't choose friends that are not in your league. They say birds of same feather flock together. So people that we choose to hang around with, if they can't become us, we become them. So if you chose bad associates, chances are slowly but surely they will influence you to be like them, and you'll end up living an ill-disciplined life that you will impose to your children or to your family. We have these people that we don't want to live with them as we speak in our homes because they are so much troublesome. We love them, but it is difficult to live with them. You can't leave them inside the house because you know when you come back, something will be gone. So, and it is at times influenced by their associates, not always. And also the food that we feed our minds. It depends on what do you eat. Psychologically, what do you put in your mind? What do you hear? What do you listen to? Makes you the person that you are. So, and another thing that maybe we may not have full control in is the issue of being demotivated. There are many factors in this time of era that demotivates people, and people, they opt to live a life that they do not want to live, just to make them forget about what they are going through. Now, that chairperson says we need one another more than we think, so that we can carry each other during such times. So these platforms like this one, they are created for such that we want to reach other people and see how can we assist them, so that when they are assisted, we can assist others. And the standards that we set for ourselves, sometimes due to this pressure, we set a very high standard that we know we won't attain. We are putting unnecessary pressure to ourselves to an extent that if we see others succeeding, those that they've set achievable standards, we become so jealous that we want to kill them in any form that you can think. Others, we have to hate them because we are dealing with what is bothering us. And it was because of the standards that we have set. This can be influenced by many factors. And also the associates that we have chosen, they can contribute in us setting standards that we know that we can't achieve. And the issue of low self-esteem, again, may be a contributing factor that can make people being ill-disciplined. You know, if you have a low self-esteem, at times you want to belong. So anywhere where they will say you can come here, as long as they will take care of you in any way, even in a way that will be the inverse of your standards. But as long as they will say, Tina, we can cater you, and you will want to be there. As much as inside of you, you will feel that I don't belong here, but you just say, anyway, where can I go? Because there's nowhere where I can go. So having said that, Chairperson, let me summarize this by saying, these are the points that we need to remember. One, discipline is a game of the mind. So you must train your mind to do what you want to do, that this may be against your flesh.
Yeah.
So biblically, we say, if we walk in spirit, we are walking against the flesh. And we further say, or the Bible say, the flesh wants what is opposite to what the spirit wants. So if you are disciplined, in most cases, you have to fight your flesh. And another point that you need to remember is that self-discipline comes from the desire to move beyond your current situation and to break out from a comfort zone. So when we talk about self-discipline, you have to choose whether you want it to be comfortable or you want to be disciplined. And when you embark on this journey of wanting to be disciplined, especially if you are coming from a background of being ill-disciplined, you have to be prepared that you'll have to fight the discomfort of it. It's not comfortable to leave what you have been doing, you are used to, and to start the new habit. So another point that you need to remember is that neglecting and dodging your responsibilities does not give you a ticket to dodge the consequences. Not sure who gave this quote. I'll just say the unknown. So one quote that I love the most, that even if we can give reasons why we are dodging our responsibilities, but that does not give us the ticket or the assurance that we will dodge the consequences of dodging the responsibility. We have to know that as long as we are alive, chances are we will have to pay for what we have dodged, which is our responsibilities. Discipline is far more about what you do or not do. So it's not about what you do or not do, but this is about avoiding the habits and behaviors that sabotage your success. So there are habits or the behaviors that are sabotaging your success. So those are habits that you have to start dealing with. And you have to have a clear vision about your life and be prepared to work your vision every day of your life. So if there is something that you have to do every day, among other things, is to ensure that you work your vision. Some of us got beautiful visions in our offices that we don't even remember what does it say. Most especially the companies, chairperson. If you ask the CEOs about the vision, they can't tell you, CEOs, let alone our employees down there. Because if the leader doesn't know the vision of the company, then how will you expect the subordinates to like know, let alone to implement? So we have to work our personal visions on every day. And lastly, on the points to remember, you have to become a slave of your good decisions. That is a decision that one must do to ensure that they become the slave of their good decision. I conclude, Chairperson, by saying being disciplined is a decision, one decide. So to some, it comes natural to some, and to others, it needs so much effort to execute and to maintain it. And identify and destroy your distraction and temptation. So one must identify, then destroy the distractions and the temptations that they rob them the chance of being disciplined. Lastly, as I close, the benefits of being disciplined makes the pain of living a disciplined life worth being enjoyed. I thank you, Chairperson. It's 10 to now. Let me just give it to you.
Yes. Before Eskom Makala na ngumfirifiri.
I don't know what is going to happen.
Yes. Thank you so
much,
much, Babu Matuna. Indeed, you're touching quite a lot of spaces that we sometimes shy to want to talk to. And I think what you're trying to elevate here is that for us to be real and to really achieve an objective of being disciplined people, we really need to tackle those difficult circumstances or difficult matters or issues or situations and be uncomfortable to realize that we then are not conforming our lives to be a disciplined life. And for the benefit maybe of those that joined a little bit late or those that joined us late, that maybe I can quickly summarize what you gave as a presentation of this discussion point. And I know we've only got a couple of minutes before your load shedding comes in. You did indicate that the discipline needs to be instilled in us. It needs to be something that grows. It needs to be something that we also, whilst it's instilled in us, we instill in our children as well, so that it is a perpetual something that grows within the family structure. You did indicate a whole lot of other things that would find us not to be disciplined. And then I like the way in which you approach it, because we all know what discipline means. It's doing the right things. But at least if you bring it as a contrast, it becomes easy to understand it. And you did indicate a couple of things to say, things such as corruption, which we know, however way you want to look at corruption, you would want to say corruption in a means of you not being faithful in terms of your work, at work. It takes out that discipline that is required in you to have done the chores that you are expected to, the issue around late coming, how we do not value time and do not make sense of the importance of time to an extent that we even then are missing the opportunity to elevate time towards money in parallel mode of it, So the other one that you talked to was procrastination, to say if you keep on procrastinating, postponing things and thinking over and not acting, it's another way of creeping in ill discipline in you as a person, You spoke about cheating, all forms of cheating, whether when you are given a responsibility to do certain tasks and you want to do shortcuts, you are not given the whole quality that is expected out of that particular task. The cheating in all forms, whether we're talking relations, whether we're talking work related, you indicated to say these are the opportunities where ill discipline comes into the form and does then impact you as a person. And once it impacts you as a person, you lose a sight of being a disciplined person. Laziness, yes, we shy away from doing things. We become lazy. We do not want to act up. The abuse of drugs as well. You made a good example about Umalume, who always wants to and at the end of the day is that whilst we appreciate that we've got Malume, but the essence is that Malume would have not taken the right spot and the space as Umalume because of the abuse of drugs and the abuse of alcohol in him. And so we need to be very wary in terms of looking at these things. Dietary and health, if you are not careful of what you're putting in, they say you are what you are eating, you are what you eat. If we are not careful of what we are eating and we just eat in general, you are going to have troubles. And so also we must be wary of that. You spoke about mediocrity. You said just following things because it seemed to be good. Also would find you in a space where your life is not shaped up as a disciplined person. So we really need to have focus in wanting to really do the best out of everything and not just do things because we see others, we want to trend. We don't want to trend. We need to be seen doing things. Whether trend comes, it will come, but it will find us doing things as such. Living a life you don't despise to have, or the life that you would have wanted to, but it's like you pretending, basically, type of thing, you know, also has got an impact in terms of getting you into trouble there. The neglect and the dodging of task, as we indicated earlier. And then you talked around the causes of ill discipline. You spoke about bad behavior. You spoke about demotivation. You spoke about self-esteem, low self-esteem, and you tried to come in and elevate some of the things that can then assist us in wanting to really achieve to be disciplined people. You spoke about understanding that discipline is like discipline is a game of mind, as you indicated, Mhlonishwa. You need to train your mind. You really need to train your mind, and you need to be careful of what you put in your mind. If you let your mind to be idled up, and you are not careful of what you're putting into your mind, you're leaving space for yourself to be ill-disciplined. And you indicated that it may seem to be uncomfortable. And that is when you must understand that you actually are doing something, because if it's going to be uncomfortable, it therefore talks to you that you are making changes of the things that are seem to be prone to you. And so you indicated that as a positive, avoiding habits and behaviors that sabotages your success, you know. These are the good points that you are telling us and coming out to advise us to move forward and be wary of the life that is not disciplined. And to be a slave of good, of doing good in terms of everything that we are meant to, you know, sharing with others, you know, caring for others, doing good, loving those that you are working with, loving those that you stay with, loving those that are immediate to you, and those that you meet, whether it's for the first time, but extending that love, because we all need love. And these are the kind of things that you have shared as propensities that can enable us to be disciplined. Let me open up for the plenary to then maybe if there are those that wants to ask questions in terms of the preamble that I've given, the summary that I've given of what we've just heard from Tate Matuna. If there is, just raise your hand and then I'll allow you to take the platform and ask your question. Anyone? Anyone? All right. There seem to be, the guys are still seem to be testing. Oh, I see Mr. Surprise. Mr. Surprise, you can go ahead, sir.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I just have maybe one, which maybe it's not a direct question, is to say, while we also fight the issue of saying procrastination, we should not also confuse it with making bad intentionally decisions. I heard Ntate Matona explaining it, but I think through the limited time, it didn't dwell much on it. So it's something that we also need to look at it. Sometimes what brings us as normal human beings to procrastinate is to keep on asking ourselves if ever I'm doing the right thing, which it has a serious impact in our, what do you call it, the final end product. Then number two, this one is so like close to my heart, issue of drug abuse and especially in all our communities. Every community we go, today we know these different drugs that are killing the future generations and our brothers and whoever and all those things. What is it that we can do from a SALGC point of view to find a better way of trying to eradicate it? I know that our country is quite big, but to start somewhere so that we fight this particular pandemic, which is a silent killer. Thanks.
Thank you, that surprise for the wonderful contribution. Babu Ndlandla, the aspect around procrastination, I'll take the other one, maybe to share the burden. The procrastination, and also I think it's valid what that the surprise is saying, to say we really need to distinguish between making a bad decision and dwelling on that rather than saying behaving in a wrong way because of certain other things. But I think what he was trying to say is to have a difference, or at least identify a difference between having made a decision that is not favorable, which oftentimes can be construed to be bad behavior, but it may be because you misjudged. Well, what's your take on that?
No, thank you, Chairperson, and also thank to Ntate Shabane. Maybe firstly on the issue of procrastination, I was coming from the angle that says, if you keep on postponing things for no reason, then I put that under the bracket of procrastination. But in an event whereby you are deferring things for a good reason, then I can't put that under procrastination, but you may have taken a good decision, because one must not take a decision with less information, because a decision that you take today is a decision that you are going to live with maybe for the rest of your life, even if you will try to reverse it, but maybe the impact. So we encourage people that you don't just take decisions because it is time to decide, but to decide based on the information. Information must be at least enough. So on that one, I think we are on the same page, and on the issue of drugs, the reality says where we are now, it's like we want to dilute the ocean. So it can't be a thing that will happen overnight. But one person said that if you want to change the world, I think that was even said to our last presentation, that if you want to change the world, you don't change the whole world. But if the world had like million people who are bad, and I am part of those people, should I take a decision to change, then the world has changed. It is no longer like before. So the truth, and Dr. Laban, is that we cannot just change this overnight because it has gone too far. But we have to be willing to start doing something. One of those things is that to start to talk about it. And all those that they see a reason to change, because the matter of fact is that some of us, we are part of this problem. It's just that we are currently struggling to get out. So if we have such discussions and even programs, we start to be active. We have schools, because in schools we have kids or learners that are struggling from their respective homes, and there's no one who can assist them. So we need to occupy that space. And I believe that we may not see the impact instantly, but over time we will see. If we can at least save 2 children per year, then I think that would be a change. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Matuna. I think you've said a mouthful. You even took some of the pointers that I wanted to talk to. Mr. Tlavana, I see you still got your hand. You want to follow up?
No. Thanks for the feedback, Chairperson.
Thank you, sir. So yes, I was saying that in just support of what Dr. Matuna has indicated, as SALGC as well, this is exactly what we are trying to push. We are saying there needs to be programs that we have. If we take the very good example that Dr. Matuna indicated, if we change one person, we'd have made the world a better place. So our philosophy, I think our thinking in terms of SALGC programs is that we want to go into the spaces. If we talk youth, we want to go into the spaces where we can eradicate the idleness, because an idling mind is where these kind of forms of ill discipline find themselves. Dr. Matuna indicated earlier, procrastination and idling mind, it's a challenge. And so we are saying as SALGC, we need to find ourselves in a space where we come in and we create as much as possible activities that would fill that gap or that space where we've got youth that are just idling. One of the things that I was talking to one of our members that day, Joshua Sipe, and we're saying we need to go into the schools. We've got a partnership with 2 other entities called Agents of Change and Educate. We are saying, whilst those guys are really working on assisting the students during the weekend for the Saturday classes, we also need to go to the schools and have an understanding with the teachers and the principal, the owners of the school, to say, we need to develop other programs that would hold again the kids, not to just rush to go home and be filled in the street, not knowing what to do. We need to have mechanisms such as having games or having time to do your homeworks at school. We need to have games such as chess, and in our schools, we need to encourage planting of gardens in the school, where these kids can then take leverage of whatever that they would have learned to take it home as well and do the same. So these are the kind of things that we also, as SALGC, are actually talking to or want to fill that gap that we find a whole lot of kids and the youth that is just flauntering around the street, because there isn't anything. But the understanding, I think, in the main is that once you've changed one person, you've made a significant change, and it's not going to be an overnight type of thing. But I think with all the kind of intent that we have, we are all are able to make that change happen. Let us just then hear as to whether there is any other question or concern, question from the plenary in terms of living a disciplined life, whether you want clarity or whether you've got another angle in terms of what we've discussed, in terms of the drug abuse, in terms of not responding to your chores, not respecting the kind of lifestyle that you're living, whether in terms of behavior in doing the right things and taking the right things, whether by just not following up on things. And Dr. Matuna was saying that if he can stop the whole world and ask people who made resolutions beginning of 2020 on the 1st of January 2022, you'd be surprised that many of us have not even started. And these were the things that we were thinking would have already by now in the march of it, or in the progress of executing or finalizing the execution point of them. Let us check, is there any question? Is there any point of input from yourselves, colleagues, in terms of the discussion point? It doesn't need to be from specifically what Dr. Matuna has indicated, but if you do have an input in wanting to encourage how we should look at living a disciplined life, by all means, please shout, and let's give you an opportunity to comment. What are the other ways or other means that we can take advantage of to create a life that is disciplined? I think in the main as well is respecting on all sorts of spaces. If you respect yourself, you would be in a space where you start to understand discipline. If you then extend it to other people, you would then find that the overflowing respect that you give into others comes back to you, and it instills in you to want to be a person who's better among others. Is there any word of comment? Any? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Chair. And I just want to lay my apologies for being, I can't even call it being late. I was in a very remote area that I can't by any means access my phone. So my apologies on that. And I'm grateful that, you know, to see men gathered here discussing this very important topic. In essence, I've actually missed, if it's 99%, because I can tell you are almost, you know, done with the session. But nonetheless, I think it's a very, you know, great topic. And if I have to just say, out of my perspective, because I can't comment much of what our facilitator there have you know presented, but I am going back to the thing of being passive. I think especially us as men, we are often passive on even things that, you know, directly affect our lives or shape our lives. We tend to be passive, but at the end of the day, we you know, the things that we are passive to actually make us, you know, and make our future. And unfortunately, because we in most cases leaders in, you know, a lot of, you know, entities, it might be families, it might be churches and all that. Unfortunately, those things don't only shape us or affect us, but, you know, shape the lives of those that we lead. So in essence, I can say we are leading, but, you know, because we are passive, at some point we find ourselves leading those that we lead astray, you know. So discipline is one important factor in life. And I mean, like, you know, you can tell from a young age that if you are not, you know, disciplined enough to really criticize and, you know, critique everything that comes in your life and just, you know, go with the flow, you really have a problem. I think we need to acknowledge that, you know, if you are just, you know, one of those people who just go with the flow, it's you really have a problem. So that's just my contribution to say, I think discipline is, you know, paying attention to exactly the day-to-day decisions of you know, how you do things, and you know, commitment being another element, because I think discipline comes along with, you know, commitment, because in most cases, if you realize, you know, it's in so many ways that men actually have great ideas. Sometimes even, you know, you can take business wise as well, you know, there are men actually that are having great ideas, but because there's a lack of discipline and lack of commitment, things just end up in the air. So I think I just wanted to note that, you know, as men, it's high time we be intentional with what we do. We can't afford to just be passive all the time, more especially with things that don't, not even indirectly, but directly affect our lives. I don't know, you know, sometimes I look at things and I wonder, but where are we as hoping to see someone coming to rescue us, because we are the people in action and we need to be able to save ourselves. So as such, to, you know, pay attention to everything we do in details, you know. So I think that's just my contribution with regard to this topic, to say I think we need not to be passive and we need to be intentional with everything that we do, and commitment also need to be, you know, the biggest part of what we know we take along in everything we do, because it doesn't help we always trying but we never really get there, and we always just passive. But we need to sometimes sit back and ask ourselves if our trying is enough, you know. Same as, for instance, maybe being part of SALGC and really not paying much attention to the activities that are done there, or asking yourself if, okay, I'm a member, of course, but what really contribution do I bring there? Or you just passively part of the so-called SALGC, but you don't really understand your role, or you know, I think that's my contribution, leadership. And thank you very much.
Thank you ever so much, Ntate Sekgale, for the kind words. Yeah, it is indeed an input. It is indeed part of what we would have touched earlier. And yes, you said it a mouthful, and that I do not want to take away anything that you said. Mr. Matuna, anything imparting what Mr. Sekgale has indicated?
No, thank you so much. And again to Ntate Sekgale. You know, Chairperson, to be honest,
Yes.
with this question, some of the things that I touched, they are the topics like
On their own.
on their own.
Yes.
So I was just like highlighting, but now that Ntate Sekgale is getting into those things, and I feel so excited. The issue of being passive, you know, it's very safe to say, as we are having such engagements, we are aiming to assist one another, if I may say so.
Yeah.
So at some point, we have to be robust and brutal,
Yes.
and with an intention of making ourselves better than we are.
Correct.
So
correct.
These issues, when you talk about them, it's like you are attacking men. And hence we end up like being in our corners to say, no, whenever we attend such gatherings, we will be chopped there. And normally it is because it is hitting home, if I may say so. It is very true that we have turned to this mode of being passive. And that says, if you are passive, to some extent, you are not responsible. You are not taking the responsibility where you are. We are passive at work. We just want to work and go home. We will see things not happening the way they're supposed to be done, but you just say, it is not my problem. It is not happening to me. You see things where you are residing, as long as it is not touching your family badly, then you like don't care until it hits directly to your household. Then you want the whole world to come and rescue you. And how would you want them to rescue you if you can't do the same if it is them? So it says we need to go back and find out our role as men as to what is my role, one. Secondly, how far am I going in ensuring that I execute my role as I am supposed to be? And there is also touched the issue of some of us being the member of SALGC as to, and Chairperson, maybe I'm a bit harsh, I know, I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Some of us, we don't do justice to ourselves. And we need to be called into order, not in a bad way. The intention is not to punish, but to assist one another. Correct. That if we are four in SALGC, and just know that there is no just a member. There is no something called I'm just a member. We are relying on you to also contribute. And I believe that we have different gifts and skills and resources, but there is something that you have to contribute with wherever you are. And you cannot rob us of what you are supposed to contribute. Yes, because you have that. And if you are passive, you are robbing the nation, and including your generation and yourself too. So the issue of commitment, all these things, they may be just a very good plan or a white elephant if we are not committed. And it mustn't be the chairperson or maybe the CEO in the company. All of us, we have to play that role.
Correct.
So thank you so much, Ntate Sekgale, for raising such.
No, yeah, no, you. I like what you're saying, Babu Matuna, and it talks to what we also said in the flyer or the poster, going back to the basics. And one of the main going back to the basics if we are going to be brutal and to be honest, is the fear of God. I think if we are not going to put God into everything, so we really need to say it loudly, to say for a man to be a disciplined person, you need to have the fear for God, and then you'll be channeled towards knowing what to do, which is right. So I just wanted to elevate that to say, whilst we are talking about going to the basics, whilst we are talking about understanding that we need to restart, it is important that we bring God first to be the one that anchors us in being living a life that is disciplined. Let me just check with as to whether there's any further input. Ntate Kagiso, Ntate Sabata, I see we also got Me Nompumelelo. If you want to impart, please do just raise your hand. We can give you an opportunity to impart, give your side of, and Ntate Matona has just said it now. I'm going to use it to the members. If you don't want to impart, you are your uniqueness. We are ninja. You are we don't know what you're holding.
Actually.
Yes. So any comment from yourself, Sihle? Any comment from yourself? Well, there seem to be none. Bob Matuna, I know that ESCOM has just been merciful for now, but yes, it can be any time between now and past. But thank you ever so much. If there isn't any comment coming in, let us not procrastinate it, but really take the advantage of thanking you, sir, for engaging us this afternoon. We came in empty. Our cups are full. We know now, and we are going to have to reshape ourselves and refine ourselves so that we can be better people, so that we can be people who are enabling ourselves to live a disciplined life in all spheres of life, in all the kind of things that we want to have impact on, whether we talk work, whether we talk family, whether we talk friendship, that we are seen to be placing ourselves into those spaces through the good conduct that is expected. And of the main, bringing God to guide us to be the good people that He wants us to be. Let me allow you, sir, to say your last parting word, and then we can then wrap the conversation.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, once again. Well, we thank God that He managed to keep the lights on. So it's very true that in Him all is possible. So we are really thanking God that I was like holding my breath as from 5 o'clock. In my closure, Chairperson, I wanted to bring this in. Well, I think our minds, they are working together today. The issue of self-control, biblically, it is a fruit that comes from the Spirit. So at times we can try on our own, and we can do all that we can. We can read all the best books from the bestsellers, and we can be taken to the best schools, and you find that we are still struggling to control ourselves. I've seen that most people that are struggling with self-control, they are struggling, as I say. It's not that they are happy. They may act happy, but they are struggling. So it is because if it is from God, you can't get it anyway. It doesn't matter how good you are, but you can't get it anyway. So it says that if you want to change this world, we have to do according to the Creator's way. Mm-hmm. And some of the tools, if not all of them, we will get from Him according to His will. So like the one of self-control, if you want to impact, because it starts with me before I can impact to my family going forward. Yes. So if I'm struggling to be in my home in time, and I want my children to be in home in time, that means I'm telling them something that is very important, because if I can't do it as a parent, how can they do? If, okay, let me just stop there with this one. So I say it is a fruit of the Spirit, and we can only get it from God. So it means we have to come very close as men, in particular, to God. And lastly, I encourage everyone to just do an introspection regarding this topic of discipline. We may have not covered some of the things, but just we go out there and we sit in our corners and check how far are we in those things that I've talked about, the cheating, corruption, and like all those things. If you can just take a pen and you mark yourself and see where are you lacking and how far are you, what do you want to do in changing that. I believe and I tell you that you'll be a better person going forward. In closure, once again, I thank you so much, Chairperson, and all the leaders of SALGC for offering me this opportunity again. And I believe that this is my home from today. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you ever so much, Dr. Matuna. Thank you for availing yourselves to really allow us to engage and to expand on that pillar of ours, mental liberation, where we can then be in the same page and alignment in terms of some of these things, because I think together we are able to move a mountain. So you're coming in and giving us guides and also sharing in terms of how we can be on the lookout of things that may deter us to be disciplined people. We appreciate the efforts that you've made. We appreciate the contribution also of our participants. Siyabonga bonke. We thank you, Ntate Skhale, Ntate Kagiso Morena, Ms. Nompumelelo, Sabata, Sihle, Surprise. We thank you guys for having made a time to join us and to be here and to really engage on this topic. We will end it up here. We hope that Matuna this is not the last time you can offer something. I hear that there's a lot from what you've spoken. There's a lot that is coming.
No, Chairperson, I'm sorry to just come in. Maybe so that
Yes.
I will get my plate at home. I believe that Nompumelelo is my wife here. So
Oh, okay.
I want to believe so.
Thank you ever so much, Ms.
Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, yes. Thank you ever so much, Ms. Matuna. It is great for you to be here and to represent as well. Kakulukazi kwi-month yabu mama, you uyimbokodo, siyabonga. Siyabonga. Ladies and gentlemen, let us then wrap it right here. Thank you ever so much. We will actually upload this on our website again. You'll be able then to listen and to check and take notes of what we've discussed this afternoon. It is really on the intent of wanting to make us all better people and to actually elevate harmony amongst ourselves as human beings, harmony amongst ourselves in our families, harmony amongst ourselves as neighbors. This then brings me to the closure of this discussion. Thank you ever so much and have still a blessed Sunday and a blessed week ahead of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.
Good evening, leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mzwake, Vilani. What you accept but we are going out. Mzwake, you're coming on the tail end when we've just closed, but thank you for coming in and making an effort, sir. You can catch this recording on our website, www.saljc.org.za. We'll upload it and you can find it there to hear what was the discussion. Thank you ever so much and God bless. Cheers, everyone.